You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go. Welcome to Big Show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. Thanks for being a part of the Big Show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, we bring you the smartest people, the latest authors, Pulitzer Prize winners, CEOs, billionaires, governors, all those people that have been on the show, U.S. ambassadors, you name it. We've had so many great authors on the show, and they bring to you their amazing stories, their journeys of life, the stuff they've spent tens of thousands or sometimes a lifetime researching. If they're Hollywood people, they probably they probably believe in those sort of religions where they've lived a few lifetimes of stories they're bringing you. So there's that. We haven't had any of those on yet, but there's still time. So anyway, guys, all we ask you in return is refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter and the LinkedIn 130,000 group over there that the show is named after. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing guest on the show as well. We always do, because we bring you the smartest guests, and none of them are me. I'm just some idiot with a mic. Christian Espinosa joins us. Everyone's like, yeah, we know that, Chris. Christian Espinosa is the author who joins us on the show today. He is the author of the latest book, The In-Between, Life in the Micro, that just came out December 12th, 2023. He's a multi-book author, and he's going to be talking to us about all the great stuff he's done. He's an entrepreneur that built and sold a cybersecurity company. He's a best-selling author, and he helps technical leaders improve their leadership skills with his proven 7-step secure methodology. He's also an adventurer and loves anything with a waiver. We'll have to find out what that means. He's also a renowned thought leader, best-selling author, and he's a Christian, or a Christian is a dynamic entrepreneur passionate about inspiring others to harness their innate wisdom, overcome perceived barriers, and summon the courage to reach new paths. His expertise extends to cybersecurity, real estate investment, outdoor wilderness survival, adventurous pursuits such as skydiving, mountaineering, and Ironman triathlons, with 24 triathlons and 2 7 summits under his belt. Jesus, he's David Goggins Jr. Christian epitomizes the spirit of transformative leadership and relentless exploration. And evidently he's a masochist. Welcome to the show, Christian. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
There you go.
Thanks for the awesome intro.
That's what we do around here. I was hopping around the camera and got a bit we got to edit. So welcome to the show. Give us the .com so we can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, you can find me on christianespinosa.com or my cybersecurity company on bluegoatcyber.com.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of your new book, The In-Between.
My new book, The In-Between, is a focused memoir, I like to say. It's about where I've got things right and where I've got them wrong in the micro moments, I say. So I'm pretty focused. I've been focused on the macro thing, the big goal I've been trying to achieve or trying to get. And I think a lot of us get super focused on that. And we often ignore the micro moments between where we are and that big goal. So we kind of have blinders on. Mm-hmm. So my book is about where I've ignored those moments and screwed things up and where I've got them right. Because I think if you pay attention and have some intention behind the moments right in front of you, they can inform you that maybe this goal you're after is not really the goal you want to go after. And they can also add fulfillment to your life and improve your relationships as well.
There you go. And is this based on do you cover cybersecurity in here, or is this more of a motivational book?
I don't really cover cybersecurity. I have a couple stories from my first cybersecurity business because that was part of my entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
But it's a little bit about my adventures with Ironman and almost dying on a mountain and skydiving and different things that have had an impact in my life.
There you go. So what motivates you want to do some of these things? I mean, that's like we were joking with the David Goggins thing. That's a lot of self abuse there.
It is. The irony is, I grew up in a very chaotic environment, very poor, with a
Hmm.
drug addicted mother. So
Oh
at
wow.
first, I valued safety and stability. I joined the military. I got that. But then I realized that's not really who I am. I like to take risk, to do things like I mentioned, the waiver where you could lose an arm or possibly die if there's like a waiver involved. I'm like compelled
Oh,
to do that
that's interesting.
activity. Yeah. So I realized like I had to shift. I kind of like lived this life that I thought I wanted because I didn't have it growing up, but it really wasn't me. So I shifted into taking risk, leaving a 9 to 5, doing the entrepreneur journey, skydiving, climbing mountains, doing things that kind of like fill my soul.
Hmm. So why do you find that fills your soul? What motivates you? What's the gear there?
What motivates me about those activities
Yeah.
is the growth. I
Growth.
think when you
There
put
you go.
yourself in uncomfortable situations, it
Hmm.
forces you to do some introspection and to grow. And
Hmm.
that to me is the appeal.
There you go.
It's not for
So
everybody, but it is for me.
Hey, I mean, that's what, David Goggins and other people who do this, whether you're growing physically, you're growing mentally. The one thing I learned in going to the gym late in life regularly is it's more than just going and lifting weights. There's a
Mhm.
discipline to it. There's a mastery of your mind. It does things for your body and your mind that you don't really understand when you just go like, oh, I'm just going to go to the gym and lift some stupid weights. There's, especially as a man, I think it really appeals to us because we're designed by biology to have upper body strength and have muscles and
Yeah.
we're designed to be tribal hunters and killers. And so by staying in shape, by working out, by challenging ourselves, by pushing the limits, whether it's mentally or physically, the physical aspects of the gym, working out and doing events like what you're doing, really test your ability. Discipline seems to have been my favorite word over the last couple of years. Where when I think about slacking off or being a butt, I'm like, hey man, discipline, get on your stick.
Discipline breeds happiness and freedom, they say.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think there's a quote that I think that I have on my phone that says that from, was it Jocko? Discipline equals freedom. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
There
it's
you go.
something we used to say in the military quite a bit. So
Really? There you go. I think Jocko is from the military.
yeah, he's a
In a
Navy SEAL.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we've had Navy SEALs on the show, and I've read some of their books and read about Hell Week and
Yeah.
some of the stuff that Navy SEALs do. And geez, that's a different kind of man than I am at this point. But God bless those guys. They're the people who stand between us and the darkness. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up. You've alluded a little bit to it, but tell us about some of the things that kind of shaped you.
I grew up in California, and I moved from California to Arkansas when I was 12.
That'll fucking shape you right there.
Yeah, I moved from LA basically to a town of
To
800
deliverance,
people in Arkansas. Yeah.
basically deliverance. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother was always addicted to prescription meds and other
Oh no.
drugs. So I had like the chaotic environment, lots of, kind of low life friends over all the time, parties, wrecked cars, cops coming over.
Wow.
Um, Poverty, we had to go get government milk and the
Yeah.
powdered milk and those big blocks of cheese and food stamps back in the day, where my mom would sell the food stamps, like $100 worth of food stamps for $20 in cash, so she could buy drugs and things like that. So it was like a
Wow.
crazy environment, and I think for me that really made me crave that stability and that safety because I didn't have it growing up, and that compelled me. It drove me to apply to all the military academies, and I went to the Air
Mm-hmm.
Force Academy, and that's how I ended up in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me a while to sort of unravel that I really don't like that safety and security. I mean, I like it, but I like to take risk. So that's
Ah.
that for my adult life. I spent a lot of time doing a 9 to 5 job and things I didn't really like. because I thought that's what I wanted. But
Yeah.
so it took me a while to kind of unravel that.
You're seeking stability.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. And so in you're seeking a form, you know, and so not really a form, but a format
Mhm.
or I don't know, a frame. And so, there's safety in that. But you kind of found that was boring after a while. Do you it's kind of interesting. Maybe you found that there's a way to, you know, kind of be in an environment where there's chaotic or chaos, but you figured out a way to stabilize it maybe.
I think so. I guess I found it boring because I remember like driving to my 9 to 5 job one day, many days I would drive there
Yeah.
on the highway, and I just wanted to bypass the exit to the work
Mm,
facility. I was like, I just want to start my life over because I hate this job. I don't like walking to the building. I don't like anything about it. But I was like, well, I need the stability though. So I had to pivot from that, and my childhood gave me like this me against the world attitude. Like I felt like I couldn't trust anybody. It took me a while to unravel that too, because I feel like you
yeah.
can only get so far in life with a me against the world attitude, because I had to realize that I'm part of the world and I need a team and I need like people to support me and I need to support other people as well.
Mhm. There you go. So, when did you start doing the marathons and different things?
I started that in I think 2003.
Mhm.
I have a friend that's super competitive,
Mhm.
and he bet me to this triathlon, and I was like, I didn't even know what a triathlon was. I had to Google it, and I didn't know how to swim. I didn't have a bike, but no matter what the guy wanted to do, I always wanted to beat him. So because he talked so much smack. So we did this triathlon as a short triathlon, and I had to learn how to swim. So I before I couldn't even swim like one lap of the pool, but I read the book called Total Immersion,
Oh,
learned to
wow.
swim. I borrowed a bike, and it ended up beating him in that race. And
Mhm.
that was the end of his career with triathlon because he was so embarrassed. But I made a lot of mistakes. I wore a cotton shirt, and which if you wear a cotton shirt and it's like super humid, this was in St. Louis. The friction causes your nipples to get chafed and start bleeding, so it's super
Ow.
painful. Yeah, so I made a lot of rookie mistakes, but it was fun.
There you go.
And after that, I just kept doing like longer ones, and learning more, and challenging myself.
You kinda learn about yourself when you do these things, don't you? You learn about not only your limits, some of the mindset, some of the stinking thinking you have in your head. I think, I don't know, this is a question. So, but I think you also, it gives you time to process a lot of stuff because you're 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 in that moment and
Mhm.
you've gotta sometimes think about stuff. You have to face yourself, right? You have to face your body. You have to face what maybe you think you thought of your limits and push them to the next level. Do I have that right?
100%. Like in an Ironman, it typically takes me between like 12 and 14 hours.
Jesus.
So you go through, I mean, literally, I'm racing from sun up to sundown, and you go through like all of life's emotions like in that 13 hours. You feel elated for a while, you feel miserable. I mean, there's been times I've been like in the fetal position, throwing up on the side of the road.
Oh, geez.
You just go through a lot of different things, and what I realized though is as long as you like keep moving forward, you'll start to feel better and things will improve. But often we in life, if we hit a roadblock, we just kind of give up. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. It's a good analogy to life, but condensed into like 13 hours for me.
There's kind of a life lesson there, right? Keep moving.
Yes.
Keep learning, keep fighting, keep growing, keep trying to get to the next marker. Life is a story of survival, really, when it comes down to it. The universe is a survival game. Really, that's kind of how I look at it. It's a game of the fittest, and you've always got to be learning, always got to be growing, always got to be doing something different.
Mhm.
And that's important. And the thing is, when you triumph over yourself using discipline and improve yourself or learn something new or overcome adversity or trauma, it's a whole lot better on the other side. And looking back, and you can look at your life and go, wow, I did some stupid shit when I was young, but man, I sure have gotten that mastered under under effect. Um, there's a story that I think you tell in the book about a car accident. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Hmm. Tell us about that.
I had been working on the concept of the in between the book for a while and those micro
Hmm.
moments, and I kind of wasn't sure I wanted to write about that. But then I flew back to St. Louis from I think Miami, and was in a car accident where a truck T-boned a car in the intersection, and the
Ouch.
truck was bounced back and hit me. But what I noticed about that accident, like everything kind of went out of focus.
Hmm.
And my girlfriend, who's a nurse, and me were the only two people that got out and helped in this intersection. Everybody else just sat in the car, like filming, getting frustrated on their phone. And the woman that was in the car was in shock. She had her arm looked broken. She was bleeding, glass was all over. And, we
Oh.
helped her. I helped the guy in the truck. We called 911. And for some reason during the accident, like all these dots about this concept of the in between and the micro moments connected. And I felt like this inner calling, like this voice told me, like, this is what I need to write the book on. This like solidified the doubt in my mind about this is what I need to write on.
Hmm. So something about focusing on one macro after another. Tell us what that means.
To me, the macro is the big thing you're trying to accomplish. Uh,
Hmm.
it could be like in the accident I just referred to, the macro was getting to dinner and then to my girlfriend's like family function. That was
Hmm.
where we were going. But then this accident happened, which is a macro event, but it's in the micro and context of what we're trying to do. So instead of like finding it frustrating and
Hmm.
sitting in the car like everybody else, we thought, we're going to get out and with some intention help these people and help in this scenario, because I feel like as a fellow human being, if I was in an accident, I would want somebody to help me as well. But
Yeah.
it's ironic that nobody else got out and helped.
Hmm.
So it's like, I think everyone else found it a distraction on their way to the thing that they defined as a macro,
Hmm.
where I had decided to embrace this moment, this micro moment in my life, and add value to it. So it's
Hmm.
really shifting the perspective of finding some balance between the thing you're trying to do, but then embracing the stuff right in front of you and finding a way to step into it intentionally.
There you go. Life is full of interruptions, zigzags. You think you're going towards a goal, and there's interrupts or failures of trying to get to that goal. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're having to problem solve constantly. So there's all sorts of things that pop up. I was watching a TikTok from a guy who he's been selling jets for 40 years on TikTok, and he talks about jets and selling jets, and he talks about his life. And it was funny. I was watching him. He did a life in the day video I watched last night, and he goes, I've been selling jets for 40 years, and he goes, still to this day, there's the most unique problems that I've never seen pop up in deals that you have to overcome, problems you have to solve. He goes, it's 40 years. You would think after 40 years, you're like, yeah, I've seen it all. Right. But no, he's like, there's still like new weird shit that happens that you got to fix and you got to overcome, and questions you got to answer. And, there's a million ways to jam up a deal. And I thought, that's really interesting. 40 years, and
Yeah.
you'd think you'd seen and mastered it all, and you're like, nah, there's nothing new that can come at me I haven't seen before, and we don't know how to handle. But that's how life works. That's why I say it's a survival game. It's a marathon, kind of like what you're running. That's kind of what we're all
Mhm.
running. It's a giant, really long Ironman marathon. It's a challenge of the physical. You get older and shit doesn't work anymore, and you're trying to get it to work. Why doesn't this work like it used to? Why can't I lose
Yeah.
weight like I used to? Why does And so you're constantly in this game of survival, and some people fight it, and they're just like, I'm just gonna sit here and pout, and maybe be like the people that you talked about in the traffic thing, where there's like, I'm gonna sit here and just be angry about this moment and how
Mhm.
someone interrupted me on the way to my goal, and play victim. But you guys were being actualized, self-actualized, and saying, hey, how can we turn this moment, this macro, as you put it, into something useful?
Yeah.
There you go.
Eh, Yeah. And the thing is, like, that moment, if I found it distracting and just sat in the car, it wouldn't have shaped me. And I probably wouldn't have made the connections that I did to write the book. So
There
that's what
you
I'm
go.
saying. Like, some of these things that we may think are distracting can inform us on our life choices, because I feel like we
Mhm,
know what we need to do internally, but
mhm.
sometimes we filter it out or block it out, and sometimes stepping into a situation can reveal that.
There you go. And so the accident was an epiphany moment for you, and led you to a desire to do what with yourself?
It crystallized the concepts of the book. It also uh, crystallized that I wanted to be someone that helped other people more so than I have. As I mentioned before, it took me a long time to get over the me against the world attitude, and it's been like this progression where I feel like in the state of my life now, I want to give back and help
Mhm.
people that are on the journey, maybe a little bit behind me, make their journey better. And that's what I'm embracing now, versus just focusing on trying to grow a business or just myself or the things that I've done in the past.
Mhm. There you go. And so you've inspired other people to do it. There's a few things you talk about in your books. One is the 7-step secure methodology. Uh, Tease us out a little bit about what's inside that.
So the 7-step secure methodology is a framework I came up with to help highly rationally intelligent or high IQ individuals develop people skills or emotional intelligence. I think one of the biggest obstacles for a lot of people that are highly rationally intelligent is they don't know where to start on how to develop emotional intelligence. So those 7 steps I came up with my first cybersecurity company, because I realized 99% of my problems in my company
Mhm.
were because my staff lacked interpersonal or people skills. It wasn't because my staff lacked technical skills. So what I did in the company that worked is what I wrote about and made those 7 steps.
There you go. So can you tease a few out to us?
Yeah, the first step is awareness.
Mhm.
I think anything starts with awareness, and it's not awareness of the world around us. It's really awareness of ourselves.
Ah.
And one of the things I talk about, I apply a lot of neuro linguistic programming concepts in the book. One of the things is we are very programmatic. We like to think we're unpredictable, but if we receive a trigger or a stimulus, there's like a program in our brain that automatically runs, and we have to ask ourselves, if this program is running and this is my behavior as a result, is it serving me? And often the answer is no. If it's no, then you have to be aware enough to stop that program from running, given the trigger, and run a new program, which is basically new behavior. And that new program will start off as a weak neural pathway in your brain, but the more you exercise it, just like a muscle, the
Mhm.
stronger it will become, and eventually it will become the default behavior. So, like one of my engineers of my first company, as an example, whenever somebody asked him a question, his default program was to get defensive. And if you get
Mhm.
defensive, the conversation typically doesn't go that well. So it was beneficial for him to install a new program. So if somebody asked a question, he would get curious rather than defensive, and then maybe ask some more questions to the person and get what they're not quite understanding. So that's
Mhm.
that's the awareness concept.
Mhm.
Um, I'll give a couple other highlights. Communication is another step. I'm a big proponent that the meaning of communication is the response you get. So that shifts the ownership back on you
Mhm.
to alter how you communicate. If the person you're communicating with doesn't understand you, you're not getting the budget, you're not getting a raise, you're not making the sale, it shifts the ownership back to you.
Mhm.
Another concept is monotasking, which is one people get kind of
Monotasking.
fired up about. So
Mhm.
monotasking is concentrated focus on one thing at a time. It's the antithesis of multitasking, which I think we've been brainwashed to do. Monotasking makes you way more productive. Multitasking makes you busy but not productive. Monotasking makes you productive because you concentrate your effort on one thing at a time.
Mhm.
And then it also helps with communication and relationships, because if you're monotasking when you're with somebody, you're present. You're not thinking about something else. You're not checking
Oh,
your phone. You're present, and that person you're with feels valued because you're not distracted while you're talking or having dinner with them. Because you probably witnessed before people at dinner. I've seen this like just the other day. There's a couple at dinner, both of them on their cell phones. I'm like, why
yeah,
did they even go to dinner? They're not even talking with each other. It's so bizarre to me. That
yeah.
is
I've
not
seen whole families do
monotasking.
that, where the whole
Yeah,
family is looking at their phone. You're just like, that's insane. I have a phones on the desk rule, on the table rule. Um, so that's my rule when I go out and talk to people. Otherwise, I'm like, why the fuck am I here? You can sit
that's
home
a
with your
good
phone.
rule.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Everybody should have that rule.
I try and be a good example to that rule too, where I don't pick up my phone. About the only time I might pick up my phone is maybe if they go to the bathroom. But normally, I've got my watch where I can, if there's anything really important, I get. But usually, I love this concept. What is it? It's called mono what?
Monotasking.
Monotasking. I love this concept, man. I need to focus this more. I need to put like a big tag on my computer that says "do monotasking." Do you turn off your phone notifications or the dings to help stay in that arena?
100%. So what I do with monotasking is, like, on my calendar, I'll set up a block of time for like an hour.
Okay.
And during that block of time, the only
Hmm.
thing I do, like, let's say I'm writing a new chapter for my book, that's
Hmm.
all I do. I don't check email. I don't answer my phone. I don't do anything else.
Hmm.
That's it. Because all those distractions cause you to have to switch context between one task to another task, and it causes you to be inefficient, and it causes you to make mistakes.
Hmm. Definitely. It's I have a problem with multitasking. I thought I had my ADHD mastered, but it seems like the more busy I've gotten, the more busier I am, the more multitasking distraction I need. I don't know. And so I love this monotasking concept. They should make this a thing. Because we need it so much. We have so many distractions in this world.
Mhm.
Like I say, when I go out to eat with people or dates, I'm like, we all put our phones down. If I'm on a date with somebody who can't put their stupid phone down to talk to you, I'm just like, you you're trying out for a shot at the title. If you can't, it's like, imagine going to a job interview and like looking at your phone all the time. You're like, hang on one second, I gotta check this message. Oh, a TikTok. Oh, there's a cool TikTok video. Imagine doing that in a job interview. It's the same thing on a date. Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's like, is this person this dumb? Do I really want to spend the rest of my life with them? But yeah, it's that, or if they're so addicted and need for attention and validation from men on their Instagram. There's that, which we see a lot of nowadays. A lot of addiction to validation. But it's really important when I go out to eat with my friends and stuff. I put our phones down, and I kind of have a phones down rule. Like, everyone, put your phone down. Let's talk and be present. And being present is like really important nowadays. I've struggled with that for the last few years, and when I finally understand it after who's Eckhart Tolle turned me on to it,
Mm.
being present and trying to be present with when I'm with family and friends. But also, they have to be interesting as well, because if you bore me, I might go to my phone, or you don't
That's
say
the
anything.
challenge.
Yeah. uh, there's only so much, and I usually am the entertainer and the driver or everything, but so I try, but every now and then people will bore the shit out of me, but that's their problem. So there you go. Any other tips you want to tease out from the book?
One of the things I talk about in the book is acknowledgement uh, and appreciation. That's something that, as a leader, I realized I wasn't good at, because I went to the Ironman World Championship in 2005. This is a story that sticks in my mind. And I remember standing under the finish line. I wasn't racing, I just was watching, telling myself one day I'll do that race. 10 years later, 2015, I did the race. I finished it. I ran across the finish line. And I never took one moment, 1 second, to like congratulate myself or pat myself on the back. I was automatically thinking about the next big goal to accomplish. And
Oh,
what I realized is, if I couldn't appreciate myself for something that took me 10 years to freaking do, then I'm probably going to have a hard time appreciating my staff.
Yeah.
and acknowledging my staff. And that was true. So I had to
Mhm.
reflect on that and then start appreciating my staff for things that they were doing, which were valuable things, but also realize that I needed to appreciate them in a way that they feel appreciated. There's like, you probably heard of the 5 love languages. We each, value a certain way of receiving things. Otherwise, we don't feel
Mhm.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Like my birthday was not too long ago, and my girlfriend got me some gifts. I don't like gifts. It's not one of my love languages. So it did
Huh.
not make me feel appreciated. And
Huh.
she should know this. But people like to give somebody the same thing that they value typically. But it takes a little bit of insight to realize what somebody really values in order to make
I've
them
had
feel
that from
appreciated.
girlfriends where they give me what they want, really. Like, here's
Of
this
course.
here's a sweater and hoodie that I'm gonna just wear all the time. So, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Here's a new car with your money that I'm gonna drive. Yeah, that's how it usually works out.
Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't make you feel appreciated, does it?
it does kind of bug me because I'm like, wait, I don't understand how married guys deal with it, but that's not my problem. But I'm just like, oh, you got me a gift with my money. Thanks. Wow, that's great. That's great. Is it really a gift at this point? How if you just cook a dinner? That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So give us your final pitch out on the show for people to pick up your books. Tell us too about your coaching. You have some coaching programs on your website as well, and some methodology course, evidently the secure methodology course. Tell us about some of the offerings you have and how people can onboard with you there.
Yeah, on my website, christianespinosa.com, I've got the secure methodology course, which is the course I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time developing. It goes over those 7 steps to help improve your emotional intelligence and people skills. So the steps I talked about with awareness and ending with Kaizen, it goes through all those steps and has some exercises in there as well. And I've got my 2 books out. The In Between just came out last week, as we mentioned.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get sales with that, and I will have the audio book coming out in January. I had Kaleo Griffith record that. He recorded my first book, and my coaching I've kind of suspended. I'm looking more into giving keynote speeches next
Mhm.
year. So if somebody wants a talk on leadership or the in between concepts or my secure methodology, you can find me on my website and connect with me there.
There you go. There you go. Well, it's been fun having you on the show, Christian. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
There you go. Folks, order up the book wherever fine books are sold. The In Between, Life in the Micro, came out December 12th, 2023 by Christian Espinosa. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss or else. No, I'm just kidding. There's lots of great stuff on Goodreads. Goodreads is so great for authors and books. You can probably see most of the authors too. The blog feeds into there and the podcast feeds in there. So if you want to see like a lot of the great authors on the show, you could do that as well. Chris Voss on LinkedIn.com and the big LinkedIn newsletter and the 130,000 LinkedIn group over there. All the other places we're on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.